when I would be impulsive to do things to like try to change things about myself or change my life, I would actually do harmful stuff to myself. I would abuse. I would drink every day. By the time I was the age of 14, I was getting suspended, almost expelled. I was doing so bad. I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't do, I was a mess, okay? I was a mess. So now when people see me be a mess today, they think, oh my God, she never got better. She's not doing anything to get better. She's still crying. She's still screaming. But what you don't see is I'm not abusing anymore. I'm not throwing things at you anymore. I'm not screaming at you. I might be removing myself from the room to cry and to vent and maybe yell a little bit, but that is still better. Hey besties, and welcome back to the Why Would I Say That podcast. It's your girl Tiara, and today I am dressed up as a clown. I look like the Wicked cast threw up all over me. But hey, it works. We're doing a costume on a budget because your girl is poor. But I'm a clown today because that's how I'm feeling. I feel like a clown. I feel like my life has been such a hot mess, and I was doing so well before, and I really thought I wouldn't be dealing with some of the struggles that I'm currently dealing with again. But hey, I'm not a clown for no reason. Yay. Anyway, if you've been here for a while, you know my life has been a hot mess. A hot freaking mess. If you watch my last few story times, and if you watch my past story times, my life is just chaotic. Welcome to my life. But I don't ever want to come off as people with BPD don't get better. Although you may have read the title and been like, hey, what in the stigma is that? But that's not true. We do get better. It's your view on getting better, okay? A lot of people don't see the progress. They just see the chaos. They do not see how chaotic it was before. And now that's a little less chaotic, they don't see that you're doing better. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're going to get really deep into it. We do get better. Just a lot of people don't see that. And this is why. Borderline personality disorder is an extremely complex disorder. I'm talking extreme. We don't even know what causes it. We have leading causes by science that'll tell you what causes BPD, but there is no actual cause. They don't know. We don't know. Things that can cause BPD is trauma. It could be genetics. It could be learned behavior. It could be just one traumatic event. It could be anything. But moral of the story that I get from every time I read what it comes from or the causes or what it may be caused by, a lot of it has to do with trauma. Whether it's learned behavior, which would be trauma, or just trauma, which would be trauma, or genetics, which again, I think is traumatizing. So I'm not saying this is a trauma-based disorder. Again, I'm just a girl going through it. I am not a scientist. I am not a doctor. But from what I get, it's trauma. So unlearning trauma and something that's stuck in your brain is really, really, really hard. And yes, very complex. And yes, very difficult. Like, think about it this way. Every time that you displayed an emotion as a little tiny child, when you weren't really going to school yet, or you just didn't have other peers, and again, you're a child, so you can't make your own decisions. Your guardians or your parents make your decisions for you. So what if those guardians and parents, every time you cried, beat the living crap out of you? You then learn over time that you may get beat up for feeling this way. Feeling this way is not okay. You should be punished for feeling this way. You then carry that into adulthood by punishing yourself and maybe even punishing others for feeling this way because you are projecting that onto them. Now, is that okay? No, that's not okay. But how are you supposed to know any different? You were a little tiny baby and you didn't know any better. So then when you take this through adulthood, because this is your normal, this is normal to you. It's normal to beat yourself up. It's normal to want to get uncomfortable around other people's big feelings. That's normal. But other people don't see that as normal. It was normal to you. How you learned it. You don't know. You didn't know any better. You were a little tiny baby. And now your first instinct is to think like that. Of course, your brain is not going to fire automatically to being a healthy brain. You were taught that emotions were bad. You were punished for emotions. And now you punish yourself for emotions and you're not getting through them. You learned that it's weak, that it's wrong, that it's shameful to have all these emotions. It's extremely hard to learn something that you were never taught and it's already embedded in your brain because it was in the first half of your prime years of learning. Those first 7 years of learning stuff in life is so important and detrimental to someone's brain. So if you tell a child something, they're going to run with it. That is how their brain is forming, and that's what they think is okay when they watch their parents or guardians display these behaviors. So of course, when they go into their adulthood, they're not going to be normal. They're going to be carrying on this family trauma and cycle and genetics and all these things, and it's not relatively their fault. Is it their responsibility to fix it? Yes, and that's not fair. In my opinion, it's not fair, but it is still your responsibility to fix it. So the initial hit to someone experiencing something like this is going to be extremely heavy, extremely hard to carry. And we intuitively know this isn't fair, which makes our emotion bigger. The emotion just gets so big, so big, so big that you don't even know what to do with it. You're not even processing the original emotion anymore because you are processing everything. You're processing, I feel shame for this. I feel like I should be punished for this. I shouldn't feel this. You start to resist the emotion. And it's just, it's really, really hard. And you also feel responsible for this because you haven't changed over time. You don't know how to change because you were never taught. So then your self-worth gets low and you start to doubt yourself a lot. So again, if you're dealing with the one emotion, it becomes all the emotions because you just don't know. You don't be knowing what to do. You don't know what to do. And this trigger comes up almost all the time. Personally, for me, whenever I have any emotion or feel something that I'm supposed to express, I feel shame. I feel like I shouldn't express it. I feel like I should shut up, that I'm not allowed to have emotion. Emotion's weak. Like, you should hear my inner monologue. I don't think that necessarily that all this is true. I try to fight against it. I really don't believe that's how it should be. But my brain be going crazy and it makes me feel really bad about myself. So when I'm dealing with these things, I have a hard time processing it, and I sometimes have a hard time telling myself that I'm doing better, even though I might not be doing okay. And it's hard to see that because when I have emotions, any emotion, or like something that might be a little bit bigger, I begin having night terrors. I begin having flashbacks. I start to have trauma. Things happen to me, and it makes it really heavy and really hard to carry. There was a time in my life where I actually couldn't manage, could not manage at all. Every time I felt anything, bam, explosion, emotion of whatever I am feeling. If you made me angry, I'm throwing stuff and I'm screaming and I'm crying and I'm going to be angry. When I was sad, I would lock myself in a room for days and to prove to myself how sad I am because I just have to, because I don't know. I was always told that I have no reason to be sad, so I have to prove to myself that I can be sad, and it's just like this whole thing. When I would be impulsive to do things to try to change things about myself or change my life, I would actually do harmful stuff to myself. I would abuse. I would drink every day. By the time I was the age of 14, I was getting suspended, almost expelled. I was doing so bad. I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't do, I was a mess, okay? I was a mess. So now when people see me be a mess today, they think, oh my God, she never got better. She's not doing anything to get better. She's still crying. She's still screaming. But what you don't see is I'm not abusing substances anymore. I'm not throwing things at you anymore. I'm not screaming at you. I might be removing myself from the room to cry and to vent and maybe yell a little bit, but that is still better than what it was before. And realistically, in order for change to happen, there are errors that need to be made. You are not going to be perfect. If you decide to get better, because it's a big decision you have to make, you're not just going to wake up with BPD and be like, oh, I'm better today. You have to decide to be better. Let's be real here. I don't want to sugarcoat this. I want to be real with you. But once you decide to be better, feelings and emotions aren't going to stop. This is life, sweetheart. If you're numb, something's wrong, okay? So you're still going to have feelings. And of course, they're still going to be big. But how you deal with them may be better, and that is better. Is that what we're shooting for? No, we're shooting for the best here. We're shooting for happy, healthy, whole lives. But I don't want any of you looking down on yourself like I have before, thinking I'm not better. I'm just as sick as I was before, when you really are not. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this podcast. If you know anything about borderline personality disorder, you know that our emotions can change in a matter of minutes. During these times, it's important to remind myself that people need people. And that's why I'm sponsored by BetterHelp, to give you the help that I know that I also need. I have personally tried and support BetterHelp because of how fast you can get paired with a certified therapist and schedule an appointment. And to be transparent, my first therapist was not an ideal match, but it was easier to switch than I expected. And now I'm matched with a DBT certified therapist who can actually meet my needs. And I made the switch within 48 hours. I've been reading my comments about whether BetterHelp is helpful for serious disorders like BPD, and I want to be honest about my experience. For me, BetterHelp was not meant to replace therapy or medication. It's a tool I use alongside of my treatment, like DBT or outpatient programs. And used this way, it's actually really supportive. I also learned that BetterHelp provides DBT therapy, which is extremely helpful for someone who thinks like myself. BetterHelp has made a lot of positive changes. Their matching process, their therapist options, and even how to handle disorders like BPD. So it might not be a right fit for everyone, but I do think it's way more reliable than it was years ago. So if you've been thinking about trying therapy and you don't know where to start, BetterHelp is a great first step. You can do sessions over video, phone calls, or even chats, whatever is most comfortable for you. Use my code betterhelp.com/TiaraLorraine for 10% off your first month. Again, that's betterhelp.com/TiaraLorraine for 10% off your first month. Thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. And now, back to the episode. You're doing better. A win is a win. Take the win. And if you're not recognizing your small wins, you are going to make yourself worse. Because every time that you feel those big emotions and you shame and guilt trip yourself into not feeling the emotion, the cycle begins. It restarts. It starts over. It doesn't get any better. It just gets worse. So when you feel big emotions, try to be aware of the things that you're doing better than in the past. That is better. In the real world, with new relationships, new people, a new life, whatever it may be, you may have slips. But what they don't see is how much better you have gotten. They don't see how long you put off this split. They don't see how long you held yourself accountable. All they see is what is in front of them. So if I waited a month and sat with the emotion, tried to process the emotion for a really long time, and I end up splitting, they don't see all the work I was doing behind the scenes. Because originally, if I wanted to split, I'm splitting right now. There is no thought about it. It's happening. I feel this way and you're going to feel it too. But I'm not like that anymore because that's not nice. That's not fair. And just because I was taught that behavior doesn't mean that I should carry that on to you. That's not fair. But as long as you're shooting for better, you're doing better, and that is better. And I don't want you to be like, well, I split today, so that means I'm back to square one. No. How long did you put it off? How many coping skills did you use in order to calm down? Is the split valid? Honestly, because if you've been sitting on it, waiting on it, maybe it was valid. Splitting is not exactly always bad. Splitting is a protective coping mechanism. Yes, you view things as all good or all bad, but sometimes it is necessary to get out of certain situations. So, don't always view yourself in all bad. Don't split on yourself, girl or guy, whoever you are. And if you're in an argument with someone and you decide to remove yourself from the room, they may see it as you avoiding it. That's you not ruining your relationship. That's you stopping a split. That is you taking the time to take care of yourself in your relationships. Some people might not view it as that, but that doesn't mean that you're not getting better. And honestly, I think you should be in rooms with people who do understand this, or it's going to make your recovery harder. But I will say this, it is not someone else's responsibility for you to get better. So, nuance, two sides of every coin. It is our responsibility, but I do think we should be in rooms where people are a little more understanding because of things like this. We're not going to wake up perfect. We're not going to wake up healed. You have to do the work. And where the work is done, there is going to be mess ups. And that is okay. That does not mean that you're not getting better. You're actually doing better. But you need to recognize that and actually believe that, or you're going to run yourself in the same circle over and over and over again. For the last few months, you guys know your girl has been going through it if you've been here for the last few weeks. Through it. Went on vacation, was SA'd, lost my friends. I watched a DV situation right in front of me, which triggered a lot I've been having family drama. I've been having to take care of some family members. I have been trying to take care of myself. I ended up in a hospital not long ago with alcohol poisoning, which that isn't good. That isn't good. Yeah. But the thing is, I know those things sound so not great, but my reaction to them is not as terrible as it was before. Yes, am I going through not so great things right now? 100%. Like I am struggling a bit, but today has been the best day that I've had in a while, but I am still struggling. But the thing is, I'm carrying these emotions a bit different. Have I screamed and cried? Yeah. Okay. But I'm not actively ruining my relationships, like screaming at them and letting my emotion control me. I guess, like, in the past, if we're being so honest, I would have self-harmed so bad. I would have went back to my eating disorder habits so bad. I would have probably ended up in the hospital for actually trying to attempt something on myself. I probably would have lost my job. I probably would have, honestly, been hypersexual to avoid what I'm feeling right now, if we're being completely honest, because that's how I used to be. I would probably be using and I probably wouldn't have quit drinking after alcohol poisoning. I wouldn't have saw that as rock bottom. There's like someone I'm like kind of entertaining talking to right now. I would have ruined that because there's a few things that he's said during these times that have really, really made me mad. And I'd have caught myself because I was like, girl, you don't have to flip out on him. You don't have to do that. You really don't have to do that. So I like held back, stayed a little quiet. He might have thought I was quiet and was just like isolating, but at the same time, I had to do it because that is better for me, okay? That is better for me. All the things that I'm experiencing right now is better for me. Is this what I'm shooting for? Absolutely not. But I do need to recognize that I was doing way worse before, and better is better, and I have to take the win. And I'm just going to take this one moment to kick the air, scream, and punch real quick. This is not fair. None of this is fair. How come I was traumatized and I have to be better? What? Hello? This is not fair. Hello, this is not fair. How come I have to fix the things that other people did to me? How come my brain changed because they wanted to be an asshole? How come my brain does not process like a normal freaking person? Like, this shouldn't even be the topic of today. I should be a normal person. This is not fair. You know, like, I shouldn't be on here like, oh my God, I am being selfish and I do things. No, that's not freaking fair. And to say that this is my better is annoying as to be completely honest with you. But that's reality. And we got to work with reality. Okay, that was my little vent. So just to let you know, you are valid for feeling that way. Doesn't make it right? No, but you are valid because it isn't fair. But it is our responsibility, and that sucks. Life be sucking sometimes, but it also be pretty. So we don't want to be jaded now. I feel like people that don't have BPD really just don't understand how hard this is to carry because, again, every emotion that I feel is more than just that one emotion. It's my guilt. It's my shame. It's feeling so many other things, having flashbacks from that one emotion. Like, I feel so much things when I feel a thing, and I feel all the things, and it don't stop. It never stops. Like, to a normal person, they feel an emotion, and like, say they just get sad. They're sad. They're not thinking about what their mom and dad did to them when they were younger, or what the friend did to them when they were younger, or any of that stuff. They're not getting those flashbacks. Not everyone does that. And I know like flashbacks may not be a part of BPD, but it is a big part of my life. And I didn't know I was experiencing them for a long time. And it's something that happens to me often. When I have one emotion, I start having flashbacks. So now I'm having more than just that emotion. I'm also carrying an old emotion, plus the guilt and the shame. And it's really hard to carry. And I don't know how to express that when I'm actively going through something. But the thing is, I am doing better. And again, we got to take the win. If you're struggling like me, just remember you do not need to be perfect. Okay? Better is better. Shoot for better, not healed. Because if you're shooting for healed, you're going to disappoint yourself and the feelings are going to get heavier and worse. You shoot for 1% better. That's it. 1% adds up to 100% after 100 times. And just because other people can't see that, do not hurt your own recovery or hurt yourself because of that. Better is better. 1% is better. And As long as you know it, which you can't lie to yourself. You know you can't lie to yourself. You can sit there and lie to everyone else. I'm doing better. I'm going to try to do better. You can do all that stuff. But as long as you're not lying to yourself, better is better. And as long as you know that you are valid, you're 100% real, honest, and I love you. And I think everyone should give you leeway. I'm sorry. I might be biased. I don't care. 1% better is better. You can't expect someone to change overnight. Because in most cases, if you've ever expected someone to change, have they really? No. So you can't expect yourself to do the same either. The shit don't work like that. 1% better, and then instilling those habits over time really does help. I know this isn't like the crash course to heal BPD, but hey, I just know a thing or two because your girl gets it. I get it. And I do want to end this by saying that BPD is treatable. It's not curable, but it is treatable. So what that means is that you can treat BPD, go without all the symptoms, all of the time. But the thing is, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, not the treatable part, that's actual science, but this is just my opinion, that I think the reason it is not curable is because, yes, you can go without all the symptoms, but if you have another trigger or another traumatic event happen, those things, the symptoms of BPD can come rushing back in your life, because BPD can form from a traumatic event. So if you go through another traumatic event and you're not staying on top of your coping skills and the things that you need to do and what works for you, you can go back. But that doesn't mean you have to. That does not mean that you're doomed. It does not mean that you can't recover. That does not mean any of that. People with BPD can get better. Okay? I clickbaited y'all. Sorry. Sorry. They can get better. And not to be like to my own horn, but I'm living proof, even though I am in a little slip up and I'm going through some things right now. Some of these things are completely out of my control. That's not my fault, but I do think I'm dealing with it pretty well, other than the whole alcohol poisoning thing. But that's okay. That's okay, because I'm also aware of the things that I am doing better. I'm not giving myself grace and be like, oh, I can do it again. But I am telling myself like, hey, like, you're doing way better than you think you are. Like, yes, you had a slip up, but you're doing better. And that's okay. And I've definitely went a while without having any symptoms, but here they are. They're back. They're back. But it's okay, because I am doing better, even if it doesn't seem like it. I gotta stay with the facts. Stay with the facts. But yeah, friends, that's pretty much all I got for you guys this week. That was what's on my heart, really, really heavy, because, again, your girl's going through it, and sometimes I have a hard time believing this myself, but sometimes as I convince you guys, I convince myself. So a win is a win. A win is a win. And hopefully, if you're going through this, I convinced you as well, because really, this is not about me. This is about you. I love helping others through my story and my journey, and it helps me just as much. You have no freaking idea. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you're not missing a video every single Friday. And if you're listening on podcast, make sure to give me a 5-star review and leave me a little comment down below. I read every single one of them, and they're so sweet, they're so kind, they're so nice, and it helps me build my community and help me find other people that are just like me and you. So pretty please, I would appreciate it so freaking much. And if you're participating in any Halloween festivities like drinking, make sure that you get an Uber. Your life is worth it, and the people's around you's life is worth it. So even if you're at a place right now, it's like, oh, I don't care about myself, so I don't care, I'm not gonna Uber, blah, blah, blah. Remember that there is other people in this world other than yourself. So make sure you get an Uber. I'm a people, okay? I care about all the peoples. Make sure you Uber, and I also care about you. So probably I will yell at you if you do DM me, because I'll be like, what the heck? You were planning on driving? Don't drink and drive. Anyway, be safe. Be safe this Halloween. Have fun. Get dressed all cute. But yeah, make sure that you get all cute, do your thing, and yeah, have fun. Be safe. Happy Halloween. Happy festivities. If you're not celebrating, God bless your soul. I get it. You know, you're just scared of the little skull stuff. I get it. Whatever. I love me some skull stuff. Like, look, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I got a new stuffed animal. I don't know if this is going to stay on the couch. I think this is just a Halloween thing, so it'd probably go away next week. But, like, let me know if you want him to stay. He's kind of cute. I like him. But, yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And until next Friday, I love you guys.